A new joint study by 7 researchers points out over 80% of infected people in Wuhan were not recorded, shedding light on why the epidemic spread so rapidly. A Florida law firm is suing China for mishandling the novel coronavirus outbreak, which is seeing a resulting economic damage rising globally. Can coronavirus patients spread the virus after they recover? How many virus carriers have not been detected because of test accuracy? A virologist explains. A Chinese dissident traveled to Wuhan to witness the city under lockdown. What did she see, and what does she have to say about the measures to control the CCP virus? Tokyo gets the Olympic flame from Greece, but the arena is empty, and the Olympic Games this year are still questionable.
Welcome to China in Focus. I'm your host, Tiffany Meyer. Chinese authorities published on Thursday the report on the investigation of whistleblower Li Wenliang. The report indicated that the local police should not have warned Li and should withdraw the warning and hold relevant people accountable. But the report did not say who gave the right to the local police to do so in the first place and what kind of policy the central government is following. Doctors at the Wuhan Central Hospital, the same hospital that Li Wenliang worked at, are shedding new light on the communist regime's efforts to change the narrative. Li Wenliang tried to warn others about the Wuhan virus but was silenced by authorities. He later died after contracting the virus. Now, another doctor at the same hospital said in an interview with Global Times the hospital's original plan was to fire Li Wenliang. He said one of his hospital directors warned departments not to question authorities, not to wear masks, and not to spread so-called rumors, or they would be fired like Li Wenliang. In China, facial recognition technology is everywhere, and with the influx of mask wearing, the tech has also evolved. According to Xinhua News, one company, JD Digits, claims its facial recognition algorithms can achieve an accuracy rate of more than 99%, even when someone is wearing a face mask. Tencent and Hangwang Tech have also announced enhancements to their facial recognition tech. Hangwang Tech has about 200 clients in Beijing using its technology, including the Ministry of Public Security. So what about the cover-up by the Chinese regime? A new joint study by 7 researchers from the U.S., Britain, and other countries titled Substantial Undocumented Infection Facilitates the Rapid Dissemination of Novel Coronavirus points out more than 80% of infected people in Wuhan before January 23rd were not recorded, which is one of the main reasons the epidemic spread so rapidly and is so difficult to control. Studies have pointed out that most of those infected but undocumented cases may not show severe symptoms or may even be asymptomatic, but most of the subsequent infections are also transmitted by this part of the group. And with the economic damage of the virus rising, a law firm from Florida is suing China for mishandling what has now become a pandemic. NTD's Miguel Moreno has more on the lawsuit.
The damage has been done, but as long as the pandemic continues, businesses and people will continue to suffer. In light of the harm, a U.S. law firm is suing China for mishandling the CCP virus.
But we feel that the Chinese government knew about the disease, they knew about the virus, they did nothing to contain it, and they tried to protect their own economic self-interests and didn't disclose what they knew until it was too late and it became a widespread pandemic soon thereafter.
He said they have reason to believe that China knew that the virus was a problem before January 1st, and listed on the initial complaint are 5 plaintiffs, individuals and business owners, all having suffered somehow from the pandemic. They're expecting to add many more plaintiffs onto the suit representing different sectors of society.
We have had hundreds of calls, including people from China who have emailed us or gone onto our website and talk to us about this disease and how it's affected them.
But to prove that the regime mishandled the outbreak, Alter said they'll want certain documents and information from China, all of which can be obtained through a court order. And if China doesn't want to cooperate, the firm can ask the court to seize the regime's property, like ships coming into the U.S., to pressure them to participate. Alter said how long the case will last will ultimately depend on China.
We won't know the extent of the damage until hopefully very soon this all passes. But once that is done, I expect it to be in the hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars that we will be seeking. Will we recover that? Again, that is up to China's participation and up to China taking responsibility for what they've done.
Alters emphasized that the suit is against the People's Republic of China, not the Chinese people. He said they believe the people of China were also misled about the virus. Miguel Moreno, NTD News, New York.
A Chinese dissident traveled to Wuhan to witness the city under lockdown, despite fear of infection and being sentenced. She spoke with our sister media about her experience.
What made me most fearful and caused me most pain was the virus infection and fear of this government.
Meet Zhang Zhan, a millennial, finance graduate, devout Christian, and Chinese dissident. She was detained for over a month last year for supporting Hong Kong's pro-democracy movement. Despite her fears, she went to Wuhan, visited hospitals, funeral homes, and neighborhoods, and made public what she saw. Then her WeChat social media account was closed by authorities. On Monday, while still in Wuhan, she shared her experience of the last several weeks with our sister media, the Chinese Epoch Times.
The official CCTV was saying the disease and the plague are under control, but when I heard the booming sound of the crematorium's incinerator running 24 hours day and night, I felt like the haze of death was covering the whole city.
She said under Wuhan's lockdown, the whole city feels like a big prison. People are confined in their home, in her own words, like pigs. And almost every aspect of life is controlled by the communist regime. Whoever doesn't obey will be punished.
For example, if a store sold just a few things, someone from the Bureau of Industry and Commerce could confiscate its license without any lawful procedures. It's very common. Just in the name of fighting the virus, they can deprive you of almost all your rights.
Large resources are put into maintaining stability, yet regular citizens get very little.
I think this is more a kind of enslaving city management rather than an epidemic prevention, without participation from medical professionals, but using a large number of armed police. But in fact, the investment in real medical care is very small, like free masks, free sanitizers, including the nucleic acid test and health insurance, or free tests, or CT scans. None of these are available.
She said almost zero investment went into people's livelihoods, yet for herself, she felt another kind of attention.
One thing was that before Fang Bin and Chen Chui-shi were arrested, they were paying close attention to me. They even seemed to know what I was thinking, and I didn't know exactly what was going on.
Zhang added she has repeatedly called on the Chinese Communist Party to relinquish its power and said to her, people in China are living under the curse of this system.
An expert says the coronavirus patients can still be contagious after they recover, and the virus can survive on surfaces for days, making containment challenging. NTD's Chang Chun reports.
A virologist says people can still spread coronavirus or CCP virus after they recover. Autopsy reports and studies of virus patients find the virus attacks the lungs and nerve system. It also harms people's immunity.
After patients recover, they can still be virus carriers and spread the virus. The disease can also reappear after they recover.
Dong said recovered patients can be long-term asymptomatic carriers. Without symptoms, they won't know they need to be tested.
What does it mean to really cure a patient? Did you just cure the symptoms on the surface, or has the body been really permanently cleaned of the virus?
Dong said stemming the spread of the virus is a challenge, as it can survive on surfaces for hours and even days. People infected with the virus can leave traces of it on things they've touched, like toiletries or cash. She said there could be a large number of people who are infected, but it's gone undetected. Asymptomatic infectious disease patients usually aren't contagious during the incubation period, but carriers can spread the CCP virus without displaying symptoms.
How many asymptomatic virus carriers are out there? It is an issue that people don't want to face and don't have the ability to face.
And the number of patients who've gone undetected could go up, as the accuracy of nucleic acid tests are about 50%.
Usually, people wouldn't go do the test unless they start having symptoms like fever. Of those who manifest symptoms and do the test, about 50% will test positive. So there are quite a number of infected patients that haven't been detected.
Hospitals in China discharged over 20,000 virus patients by late February, but Dong doubts if the patients have really recovered. She said the discharging standard is too low, and letting these virus carriers go back to their neighborhood plants the potential for another outbreak. Reporting by Changchun, NTD News, New York.
The president and coronavirus task force are taking measures to offset the economic and health challenges posed by the CCP virus. Trump says more assistance is on the way after signing a bill that offers sick leave to those affected by the virus. And an FDA commissioner saying experimental drugs may soon be available for those in dire need.
President Trump on Thursday reassuring Americans that more help is on the way. This after signing a bill that offers sick leave and family medical leave to those affected by the virus. The president says U.S. officials could have acted more quickly if the Chinese regime had shared information about the virus sooner.
If we had known about this a number of months earlier, it could have been contained to that one area in China where it started.
In February, Chinese doctor Li Wenliang died from the virus after trying to warn people about the outbreak. BBC reports police in China told Li to stop making so-called false comments and investigated him for spreading rumors. The president condemned the Chinese regime for suppressing initial reports of the CCP virus.
The world is paying a very big price for not letting them come out. Everybody knows that. We all know that.
In 2018, President Trump signed the Right to Try Act. It allows terminally ill patients to receive drug treatments that have not been fully approved by the FDA. The task force is now working to implement compassionate use, which is a step beyond Right to Try. It allows patients who have exhausted other options to access experimental treatments.
The important thing about compassionate use, and that's what the president meant, this is even beyond Right to Try, is that we get to collect the information about that.
The FDA says it will then use the collected data to determine the safety and effectiveness of the treatments.
And as lockdowns go into place, small businesses are worried for their futures. Some senators are working on a $300 billion assistance bill to help.
Small business districts across the U.S. are starting to look more like ghost towns than main destinations. Many stores are shuttered, some with signs on the doors saying they'll be closed until further notice. Business owners say things are on pause. On Wednesday, Republican Senators Marco Rubio of Florida and Susan Collins unveiled a draft bill that would provide $300 billion in help for small businesses. Rubio said he understood that most small businesses may not survive without extraordinary assistance.
But listen, the overwhelming majority of the people who are going to seek these out are going to use it for purposes of paying their employees and keeping, their rent or their lease or their mortgage up to date so they don't get evicted.
He said loans used for these purposes would become grants and not need to be paid back. Senator Susan Collins said it was important to act quickly as employees were already being laid off.
So I think that our proposal will be very effective in ensuring that jobs are there for employees once this crisis ends, and that's the purpose of it.
The loans cannot be used for pay raises for the business owners or to increase profits. The senators said they have not finished writing the legislation, but expect it to cover a 6 to 8 week period that is retroactive to March 1st.
And now that New York is able to test more people, it's seen a massive spike in confirmed cases. They doubled today and now stand at over 4,000. Governor Cuomo is now requiring 75% of employees to work from home.
Governor Cuomo giving the latest guidance Thursday on mitigating the spread of the CCP virus, commonly known as the coronavirus. A change from yesterday about working conditions. Now he's requiring that 75% of employees from every business work from home. Still, that does not include necessary services like transportation and food. The governor reminds New Yorkers that there is no lockdown in the works, despite rumors.
I would know, right? Because I would have to authorize those actions legally. It's not going to happen.
And the state is helping with citizens' financial troubles. Cuomo announced a mortgage relief for people who aren't working or working only part-time. That means mortgage payments will be pushed back for 90 days. Even further, they're postponing or suspending home foreclosures.
That will be a real-life economic benefit. It will also be a stress reliever for many families.
He also said they will waive fees for overdrafts, ATMs, and credit cards. Melina Weiskup, NTD News.
The over $100 billion bill will cover virus testing, workers' benefits, and ensuring food is available for the most vulnerable.
The main elements of the new package are free coronavirus testing, paid sick leave and emergency leave for some workers, enhanced unemployment benefits, food assistance, and increased funding for Medicaid. Under the package, everyone in America will be eligible for free coronavirus testing. That includes the uninsured and the undocumented. You're entitled to 2 weeks of paid sick leave if you or a family member get the virus. You can also take an additional 10 weeks off at 2/3 of your pay. This applies to companies with less than 500 employees. If you lose your job this year, you're entitled to an additional 6 months of unemployment payments. That means a total of 12 months. This only applies to states where the unemployment rates rise by 10%. Instead of laying people off, employers are encouraged to reduce workers' hours instead. Ensuring food for those most in need is an important part of the package. It provides $250 million for home delivery meals to seniors, $400 million for food banks, and $500 million to help feed mothers and young children. As schools close, they can also continue providing breakfast and lunch to low-income students. Meals are served to go to stop the risk of virus transmission. The bill also suspends work requirements for the food stamp program. Enrollment for Medicaid tends to rise during economic downturns. The package increases federal funding for it.
The U.S. State Department is suspending visa services at its foreign missions around the world. The State Department did not name any company specifically, but embassies in various locations have started to post the restrictions on their websites. The U.S. Embassy in South Korea said the suspension would be implemented in countries with a level 2, 3, or 4 travel advisory. That currently includes around 100 countries. In 2019, the State Department issued over 9 million visas. Certain specialized services will still be available. And globally, Italy records its deadliest day of coronavirus with 475 deaths reported in one day, raising the total number of infected to over 41,000 and the death toll to over 3,000. South Korea, meanwhile, has become the model to follow in combating the virus outbreak. The World Health Organization General Director said Thursday he's willing to promote South Korea's model to other countries. He said the country developed many creative methods and strategies for combating the virus, and as a result, the number of confirmed cases in South Korea has continued to decline in recent weeks. North Korea, on the other hand, repeatedly stated no diagnoses were made in the country so far. Many question these reports. A South Korean media quoted people familiar with the matter, saying at least 3 people in North Korea who were suspected of being infected with the CCP virus were shot dead. Prince Albert of Monaco has tested positive for the CCP virus. His office said on Thursday his health is not a cause for concern, adding the 62-year-old plans to continue working from his home from the palace. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi appealed to citizens on Thursday to observe a self-curfew starting March 22nd as part of a trial run to test social isolation to curb the spread of the coronavirus. The African continent now has 19 countries with confirmed cases. Kenya, Ethiopia, Sudan, Guinea, and Mauritania all confirmed their first cases of the CCP virus on Friday. Most of Africa's reported cases were foreigners or people who had traveled abroad. Rapid testing and quarantines have been put in place to limit transmission, but concerns are growing about the continent's ability to handle the disease. And the island nation off the coast of East Africa, Mauritius, has 3 confirmed cases. All 3 returned from outside countries. The country's prime minister yesterday held an urgent press conference declaring a state of emergency and closing all borders. He added all travelers, no matter if they're residents or not, will not be allowed to enter for the next 14 days. The coronavirus outbreak shut down the Chino Valley School District's Choral Festival, but it couldn't stop the music. Some enterprising students at Chino Hills High turned to YouTube to deliver an amazing a cappella performance, which went viral. Their social media version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow may be bringing them more attention than if they had actually been able to compete. These Chino High chamber singers are happy to see that their YouTube video is spreading hope and cheer during this difficult time. Greece has officially handed over the Olympic flame to Tokyo ahead of the 2020 Summer Olympic Games. But due to coronavirus fears, there's still uncertainty if the Games will actually take place. As of right now, the Games are still on, but that could change. A board member of the Japan Olympic Committee said Thursday they should be postponed. He said athletes have been unable to adequately prepare as a result of the ongoing virus pandemic, but organizers have repeatedly insisted that the Games will go ahead as scheduled. Here at China in Focus, we bring you first-hand information from inside China. Don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates.